what if I told you the secret to building wealth wasn't really a secret at all? What if it's been hiding in plain sight for the last 200 years, just waiting for us to look? Well, today we're going to decode that history and find a clear, data-driven answer.
So, what is the real secret? Is it all just about luck, maybe inheriting a ton of money? Or is there a formula, something that's repeatable? Let's dig into the evidence and find out.
Because here's the thing that data makes crystal clear. Building wealth, well, it isn't just a game of chance. It's a game of understanding, and it's based on making the right kinds of decisions.
And the key to making those right decisions, it's hidden right here, inside 2 whole centuries of economic data. You know, this historical record, it tells a really powerful story about what works, and maybe more importantly, what doesn't. Okay, let's dive into this.
I want you to think of it like a race, a 200-year-long marathon between all the different ways you can invest your money. Every asset class is like a competitor, and we're here to see who actually crossed the finish line first.
So, let's meet our competitors in this epic race for returns, shall we? We're going to start with some of the most well-known, the most conservative players in the investment world.
First up, we've got Treasury bonds. People often see these as one of the safest investments you can make, because they're backed by the government. Over the long haul, they've given a steady, but let's be honest, pretty modest 2.8% real annual return, and that's after we account for inflation. Next up, corporate bonds. Now, by taking on just a little more risk, you're lending to companies instead of the government, investors were rewarded with a 3.8% real annual return. Okay, so that's a full percentage point higher, but is it enough to actually win the race? So we've seen the safe and steady competitors. But which asset class didn't just compete, but absolutely dominated this 200-year race, leaving all the others way, way behind in the dust?
And here it is, our undisputed champion, stocks. By owning a piece of the economy itself, a piece of the innovation, the profits, the growth, investors have captured an average real annual return of 6.6%.
And when you see it laid out like this, the difference is just stark. This chart makes that performance gap totally undeniable. Now, of course, these higher returns didn't come in a straight line. They came with more risk and more volatility. But over 200 years, the power of owning a piece of a growing business has been completely unmatched.
Okay, but I know what you're thinking. What about those assets people always turn to when things get uncertain? The tangible, physical stuff you can actually hold. Let's take a look at these so-called safe bets and see how they really stack up.
For centuries, gold has been seen as the ultimate store of value, right? It's the go-to investment when people are worried about the economy. It just feels secure, permanent. But does that feeling actually match the financial reality?
Well, the data tells a really surprising story. After you account for inflation, gold has only delivered a 2% real annual return over the last century. That's even lower than Treasury bonds.
And this brings us to a really crucial distinction. Gold's value is all based on its perceived safety. It's a way to try and preserve wealth. Stocks, on the other hand, their value is based on a proven track record of growing wealth. They are 2 very different tools for 2 very different jobs.
All right, let's move on to the biggest investment most people will ever make in their entire lives, their home. It's so much more than just an asset. It's a core part of who we are. But this creates a fascinating dilemma between feeling secure and being financially flexible.
And we all know this feeling, don't we? There's this deep emotional connection to owning a home. It represents stability for our families and a sense of permanence, safety in a sometimes chaotic world.
However, that powerful feeling of security, it has a pretty significant financial trade-off that often gets overlooked. It's a trade-off that can actually get in the way of your ability to build wealth.
And that trade-off is all about one concept: financial liquidity. Put simply, it's just how quickly and easily you can turn your investment into cash if you need it. Stocks, super liquid. You can sell them in seconds. A house? Yeah, not so much. And this cost of low liquidity is very, very real. It means your capital is trapped, it's tied up, and it can't be put to work when a great investment opportunity comes along. This lack of financial flexibility can be a powerful brake on your ability to grow wealth over time. So after looking at bonds, stocks, gold, and real estate, what's the final verdict? What does 200 years of data tell us is the most effective path to actually building long-term wealth? It really just boils down to these 3 steps. First, you've got to understand the historical data, the real inflation-adjusted returns. Second, you have to choose the right tool for the job, the asset class that's proven to drive long-term growth. And third, you need the prudent mindset to actually stick with it. So if we distill 2 whole centuries of financial history down into one single takeaway, this is it. While other assets definitely play a role in a balanced portfolio, the data is just unequivocal. For the specific goal of long-term wealth creation, stocks have been the undisputed, albeit more volatile, champion. Ultimately, building your wealth really is like running a marathon. The historical data has shown us pretty clearly which competitor has the best track record over the long haul. So the only question left is, which one are you counting on to win your race?